Alright, y'all, so here we are, we're back. It's been a little bit since I made a video. I've been all over the place the last several weeks. We're right in the midst of holiday season, funky weather. It's been raining a decent amount, and then just funky sicknesses going around. Just the main thing is I've been kind of in a crux on how to move forward. I'm in a transitional state here on this cabin. So I've got all my big timber stuff done, and I've been working on that and planning that and putting that up for so long now. Now that it's done, I'm kind of like, all right, what do I do next? So my next step is to put my my rafters on for my roof, and so before I did that, I wanted to make sure I got all my braces complete. So if you can see those double braces on the exterior walls, on the long lateral walls, I put 2x8 doubled up braces, and they're just mechanically fastened, nails and screws. So I've been putting those up. So I'm happy now with the with how it's all braced together. So I'm going to start measuring and putting my rafters up. The plan is to put a 2x10 ridge. I guess you call it a ridge beam, but it's just a 2x ridge plate, and I'm going to put it on 4x4 posts. So they'll be 2-3 foot tall. Those posts are going to sit on top of my my center beams. They're not going to hold a lot of load. Most of the load is going to be dispersed on my long lateral beams. So those center posts holding a ridge plate are mainly going to be there to where I can toenail those onto the beams. I'm going to pocket them so I can set my ridge plate in those posts, and then that way it'll be setting there so I can start running my rafters and then terminating them onto the ridge plate. So I think with that, it'll be the construction on that part will be pretty straightforward. And from there, I plan on putting a 1x decking on the rafters, and then doing some type of underlayment, vapor barrier, very low insulative underlayment. And then I'll put my my furring strips, and then my my metal. So and the plan is to have it a ridge vent running through. So I'm not going to go all the way to the top with my decking. I'm going to leave about 1 inch on each side of my ridge plate. So that way there'll be some good circulation. I got to do some reading. I was thinking about originally when I built this cabin was to have some open, I guess, windows or screen sections up there that would help with the ventilation. But then as I got to reading, too much ventilation is almost as bad as not enough ventilation. So I'll be able to have working windows, at least that's my plan. And I also have some piping coming into the cabin that's coming underground. So I have 2 4-inch pipes coming in. So I'm hoping that with all the walls, the windows closed and everything, that the ridge vent, it'll draw enough to where it'll pull air from those underground pipes. So I can always put fans, some small fans to help with that if it doesn't naturally draw the air through the pipes. That's kind of what all I'm figuring as I'm doing this. And look, I'm no engineer by any stretch in education or practice. So some of this I'm just, I do a little reading, a little looking at stuff, and most of it's just kind of by reason. And I'm going with that and seeing how it works out. So that's where we are right now. I'm going to start working on getting my posts cut and ready to put my ridge plate up. I'm going to have to do a little bit of, or actually a lot of milling in the near future. And I've moved my mill. That's another thing I've done over the last couple of weeks. So I had it just right up here by the cabin, and first problem with that was the area. So it wasn't a very big area. I was constantly having to maneuver my tractor and pick one end of a log up and set it on the mill, and then doodle around, get the other end set up and put it on the mill. So space was a big deal. Second was just the location of the mill. I was always, there was one good hill that I have to ascend to come up here. So the back of this is on a small bluff that drops down. So I've always had to drag my logs up that hill to get it to the mill. So one thing I did was I moved my mill to the lowest, or one of the lower parts of the property, just down, not far from where it was, but just downhill. So I had a little open spot, and in that open spot there was a transition, elevation transition in that open area, and I'll bring the camera out there when I mill this 4x and explain it to you, or you'll actually be able to see it better. But I put my mill right in the middle of this elevation change. So my tractor and logs will be sitting up higher than where my mill is. So I'm hoping I could just, pull them right up, and plus everything's downhill. I won't have to climb any hills with big logs, because I got some big trees that I'm needing to mill and cut down and mill. So I can go downhill with everything, pull it to the mill, and hopefully just roll it off onto the mill. So I do have a little bit of concern, because it is a little bit downhill from where the log would be to the mill. I was hoping it'd be a little more lateral. I could try to dig and scrape a lot of that out and lower that. I would rather not do all that, so I'm gonna try it the way it is. I have some beams that I put down in the dirt, and I put a big 2x on the top of it laterally, so hopefully that'll act somewhat like a speed bump. So if I do start to roll something, it won't just crash onto the mill. So I haven't yet put any logs on it since I moved it, so that's something that we're going to start working on real soon. So that's where I am right now. So it's, like I said, it's been a little bit, so I'm excited to move forward, and there's still a lot of work to do, but it's going to be a lot of smaller stuff, not all these big beams and all that. But it's still, we got a long road ahead of us. So we're gonna get there. Just bear with me. This is what I measured up at the top. So these will be, this is going to be my template for my bird's mouth joints. So we're about 4 inches on the seat, and the heel is an inch and a half on an angle. So as far as depth in the wood, it's a little less than that, about 1 inch and 3/8. And we'll see how that works. In doing my timber framing, I made a mistake and failed to account for the overhang, account for any wall thickness. So I plan on putting 2 layers of 1x on the outside wall, so it'll be an additional 2 inches. And plus I also plan on doing batting board, so I'll have two layers at 2 inches, and then plus another probably inch for the bats. But so what I'm doing is I'm measuring these 6 inches to come off and for an overhang, and at least 2 to 3 inches of this 6 inches will be eaten up by the exterior wall. So then I'm only in essence going to have like 3 inches of overhang on the roof. So it's only going to stick out just a tiny bit, which I'm okay with because I want to minimize my overhangs. I will have a slightly more pronounced overhang on the sloped ends of the roof. For one, this is going to be the south side, so I want a little bit of an overhang, more of a pronounced overhang on the south side to provide a little more shade during the summer when the sun is overhead or almost overhead. I don't want to put an exaggerated overhang on it because I don't want to block the sun this time of year when it's setting lower in the sky. I want it to come in the windows and naturally heat the inside of the cabin. So plus two, I want to make my overhangs as small as possible for wind, because I'm only 2 hours roughly from the Gulf Coast. So we do get a lot of hurricanes in this area. Now I'm further north than what I used to live in Louisiana, but I'm still about the same distance from the coast. I moved further north, but the coastline runs north right here. So, we get a good bit of hurricanes, some high winds come through here, so I want to minimize my overhangs to accommodate for that, so to reduce any kind of updraft from the wind. So that's my thought process on the overhangs. Just enough to maybe help out with the sun, but keep it down to where it's not catching wind. I do plan on having like my door is going to be here, a walkway, a covered walkway that's going to go to I think I'm going to put a deck on the back of it. That will be covered. I want it to be covered, but it's going to be off of the house. It'll be its own separate awning to cover the deck. So if we do get a hurricane or a tornado with some high winds, whatever wind sails I have on the house, I want them to be separate from the main roof structure. Try to keep the main roof structure intact, and if anything blows off, it'll just be the side pieces that I can more easily fix. So that's my engineering as far as what I'm thinking about on this. Well, we got our little beam caps on, so I like it. The beams started having little bows and stuff in them. This makes it a little straighter, and also too it picks it up. It picks the plate up above the braces. So I didn't consider that when I was putting the braces on, was putting my rafters on. So I put the braces up to the top. But now this will pick that top plate up so that now I can get my bird's mouth joint on my rafter and just lay everything out uniformly, and it just have this one top plate to fit on and not have to notch it out around these braces. So little bit of work for not having the oversight, but it's done. It'll make things easier when I'm putting the rafters up. And I think I do prefer the cap on here. It seems like it's straightened it up a little more, or trued the line up for my rafters to sit on. So I'm at another little point to where I got to shift and change directions and start cutting some trees down and milling some lumber. So I know I need to mill a 2x10 or a couple 2x10s to run for my my ridge plate, and I've got a good bit of 2x8s cut for rafters, but not enough. So I'm gonna have to cut some handful of 2x10s, a lot more 2x8s, and start going from there. Alright, well, that does us for today. So I got these 3 cut. I've been wanting to cut these. This is a trail. We call it the mill hill because it's where the mill used to be, on top of this hill right up here. But every time I come down here with the tractor, and this is actually the access road to my cabin as well, to get actually to the top, to where the cabin is. Whenever I come down, I'm always with that front end loader. Especially if I'm pulling that little trailer with the lumber on it, I have to swing wide coming down this hill. So these trees were always in the way. And not only that, there's some really nice young hardwoods in here. Now it looks horrible right now. Just privet and um, all that. But I plan on cleaning that up. But mixed in, there's a bunch of we got wild black cherries. We have oaks. We have some like hickory, and then blackjack oak, which I really like. It makes a big leaf, and it's just a really different looking oak tree. But yeah, so I'm trying to get where we do have some nice hardwoods. Uh, get some of these pines cleared out because I have pines for days. I have no shortage of pine trees and gum trees. Um, I'm trying to thin out. So the pines, it's good because I'm milling those. So I cut these down. I step them off and cut off the straight long sections that I can mill. And then once we start getting to a bunch of limbs and some crookedness and all that, I'll start chopping those, and I get the limbs stacked up. I'll chip the limbs and for mulch, and the bigger pieces I'll cut up for wood or for firewood, or make a big burn pile and burn it on where the garden is, and I'm going to spread the ash around. So pretty much everything on the trees are going to be used. Even when I burn them, I'm not going to burn them just for the sake of burning them. I'll burn them for the ash, and it helps with the pH of the soil in your garden. So that's the game plan. Like I said, I've got a lot of new growth out here, and if I don't start managing it and clearing out sections, or just thinning out, not clearing out. Like I might have a group of oaks where they're just, a bunch of spindly oaks like this, and I need to go in there and thin them out, and so they can grow and get, nice mature oak trees. Same thing with the wild black cherries. I try to keep every one of those I can find. I'll even cut trees down around them so they can breathe a little bit. I do think they like some to be in the understory. I think they like some shade. So, but I do try to give them some room. And when I'm following a tree, I try to look around and see what's around to make sure that I'm not breaking. Try to mitigate the loss of desirable trees as much as I can. So that's it. Yeah, just trying to finish cleaning up. I got this one. I'm going to drag it tomorrow. I already got it cut into two millable, long millable sections. The rest of it's in the woods, so I'm not in a big hurry to clean it out, but I do want to clean this section out. So my mill where I moved it is right on the other side of this. This is a drainage. Whenever it rains, it's you can call it a seasonal creek, and the season is when it rains. So whenever it rains a good bit, water will drain down through here, but it doesn't hold water. So that's why we have these low pockets of hardwoods, and then the high sections are mainly pines, with other hardwoods just sprinkled, dappled through there. And I do have some magnolias, not a lot. Every one I find of those, I really try to open up and let them grow, because they're kind of I think they're the state tree, but they're beautiful trees. So I'm not just cutting stuff down just to cut stuff down, and I love the trees. I'm trying to be mindful when I do this, just to try to make sense of it all. So Yeah, so we're on the cabin. I got to mill my ridge plate, 2x10s, and I'm gonna do a handful some more 2x8s, because once I start cutting rafters and stuff, I want to try to at least get the bulk of them done. And that's gonna be the next project on the cabin. So drag these tomorrow, start milling tomorrow, and I still got a little mess to clean up with limbs and stuff. That's cutting trees down is easy. It's the cleaning up behind it that's a chore. I mean, whew, you talk about make a mess. So we make a mess, we clean it up so we can make another mess. Thank y'all for watching, and God bless y'all. Thanks for anyone. You know, hit the thumbs up. Give me some comments, subscribe. Let me know what you think. So thank y'all for all of y'all who are watching.